Who else has the US indicted? We're also looking at the former de facto leader of Panama, Manuel Noriega. Now remember, this de facto leader of he was the de facto leader of Panama from 1983 to 1989 and was captured during the 1989 US invasion. Now Manuel Noriega never served as the president of Panama, but rather served in power through various puppet presidents. He had previous links to American intelligence agencies, which reportedly later on soured and led to the invasion of Panama later on and his capture by the United States. So Manuel Noriega was the first ever leader that the United States had indicted. He also was tried in the Miami federal court on drug trafficking, racketeering and money laundering charges. The United States had indicted Manuel Noriega on a host of charges such as drug trafficking as well as racketeering. And he was convicted in 1992 and was sentenced to 40 years in prison. So his indictment took place in 1992. He was sent to 40 years in prison, and where he served about 17 years before his extradition to France in 2010. So he served about 17 years in the United States, and later on he was extradited to France in 2010. With that, Manuel Noriega became the first ever leader that the US had indicted who was a foreign leader, and with now the current situation taking place, Nicolás Maduro would be the second one that the US could potentially indict. We also have one Orlando Hernandez, who was a former Honduras president. He was the president from 2014 to 2022 and was extradited to the United States in 2022. So this is another leader, and he was tried in the southern district of New York, which is the same as Nicolás Maduro. So this was another leader that the US had indicted. He was convicted in 2014 of conspiring to import cocaine and related firearm offenses. So he was also charged on a variety of crimes which were drug related, as well as he also received a 45-year prison sentence plus 5 years of supervised release. So as part of his indictment, he received a 45 years of prison sentence. Sir, additionally, in your opinion, now the US abducted a sitting president, which in my opinion sets a dangerous precedent, considering the fact that would you agree that this sets a dangerous precedent? I mean, what's to say, what would stop other countries from carrying out the same operations? Global condemnation, as we are seeing, has also been largely very, very muted, very, very mixed in regards to this, and the hypocrisy of the West is glaring at this point.
You are asking me, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My question was to you.
I would personally feel, and I would partially agree with you, that what all that preemptive action, the preemptive warlike actions which have been undertaken by President Donald Trump against Venezuela and Caracas, they seem to be a floutation of international law. But being a student of international relations, what we need to remember is that I'm not talking about a pessimistic painting of the entire picture, but still anarchy, or let's say pandemonium, and the idea of might is right. That is a very indelible circumstance as far as the practice and theorization of international politics is concerned. So this is just a reflection of it, that there is nobody to stop America. That is a very, I would say, a very third-worldian narrative. Because if you look into the high-power games and the high-stake games, and I'm not talking about liberalism or, the American hyperpocience in international polity, but they are doing it for their own good. This is one part of it, but definitely other countries might also indulge in such adventures and preemption if America is allowed to go scot-free. But I personally feel that the kind of drug economy that is run in certain parts of Latin America, particularly, that has to be curbed somewhere or the other. And if you look back into the last couple of months incidents, we are going to find that Maduro and some of these agents, these cabals of drugs, the drug mafiosi, they were warned. They were warned by Americans. They were warned by President Donald Trump कि better mend your offenses, better mend your policy, otherwise some action might follow suit. So I am not a votary for neoconservatism, but I personally feel that America knows how to tackle the forces or the inimical interest to their national interest or to the well-being and upkeep of their people. But I'm not saying that America is doing the right thing by, I won't give him a carte blanche, but still I think it's a very old sore. The drug trafficking, money laundering, and gun running are old sores which are actually, and we should be sympathetic about it, bleeding the American psyche blue. So I think China too was part of the game, and you know the what we would like to see here is that there happened to be a bit of gunboat shooting also earlier, and Chevron is the only American company which is active in Venezuela at point in time. So I personally feel that it is all up.
All right, it seems like we've lost our connection. Mr. Manan Dwivedi, thank you so much for being